Welcome to Sports Extra. I'm your host, Ali Gauhar. Tonight, we're going to continue talking about the 20th AIPS Asia Congress. And we talked a bit about it yesterday. A number of senior Pakistani journalists got Lifetime Achievement Awards. It's a fantastic initiative. It's all about bringing sports to the fore. And 70 journalists from 30 different countries participated in this conference. And of course, encouraging sports is important all around the world, but it's particularly important for Pakistan right now. And Pakistan has made some tremendous strides in this area. We just saw a World 11 cricket team playing 3 T20 matches in Pakistan. We saw members of the British media playing in North Waziristan. Peter Oban was one of the members. That really was another fantastic initiative. And this just goes to show that Pakistan is a peace-loving country. So to talk about the AIPS Asia Congress in greater detail, I have three very special guests in the studio. I've been joined by Mr. Hishan Welmilla. Did I get that right, sir?
Yes.
Editor-in-Chief, SriLankaSports.com. Sir, great to have you on. Welcome to Pakistan.
Thank you very much.
And we also have Dr. Zsuzsa Csisztu. Did I get that right?
Fantastic.
Sports journalist, former Olympian, and you specialize in the sports of law.
That's right.
Welcome to Pakistan.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming on. And we also have Mr. Mohi Shah, who's a regular on this show. Mr. Mohi Shah, sir, thank you very much for coming on the show.
How are you?
I'm well, and congratulations for winning the Lifetime Achievement Award.
So
Congratulations.
Nice.
Yes.
Very happy for you, and congratulations.
Thanks, so nice of you.
Okay, Hisham, let's begin with you. Firstly, this AIPS Asia Congress, what does it mean to you?
Actually, we talk about sports. Sports unites people. So when the Congress having, especially in Pakistan, as you quite rightly said, Pakistan is booming up again. Once again, they are going back to what they were. And this Congress itself has made a tremendous improvement to your, what do you call it, the progress of the sports that you are taking up. So I think this Congress unites Asia, where we work together to promote sports in Asia. So this part of the, as you said, we got 30 countries coming here with 70 delegates. So that is, it shows how Asia is keen on sports. So I think this particular Congress, especially the extraordinary Congress, we elected new cabinet, the governing body. We got new president, and especially we got new Secretary General from your own country, Mr. Amjad, who's a dynamic person who's driving force of this Asia. And we got a lot of people coming in, especially for the executive committee as well as the vice presidency. I think it's better movement and better opportunity for Pakistan also to have Asia, AIPS to have this here.
Dr. Csisztu, what about you? What does this mean to you?
It was actually a fantastic opportunity for me to come to Pakistan the very first time in my life. I was invited, the president of the Pakistan Sports Writers Federation, Mr. Amjad Aziz Malik, who was basically, I would say, probably the engine of this whole event. He was really wanting to have this event, coming alive here in Islamabad. And he's now, again, has been elected as a Secretary General of AIPS Asia. So absolutely good luck for his upcoming years in his job. So I was actually a guest, and it is very nice because I'm a member of the Executive Committee of AIPS, basically, worldwide. So basically, for me to come to a country that I had never had a chance to be in, it's obviously being a journalist, it's always something new. I'm a curious person. I would say I'm an open-hearted person. I was really, really excited about this trip, and it probably fulfilled all my expectations.
But just out of curiosity, both of you, first, Hisham, have you been to Pakistan before?
Yes, once. It's when we played 1996 World Cup where we beat Australia.
So you were in Lahore then?
Yeah, Lahore. It's just a 24-hour trip. You just land, do the match and go home.
Good
but do nothing, no time.
So what's your experience been like so far? Is it what you expected?
Actually, to be honest, we were very much close with the Pakistanis, to be honest, when it comes to sports. So I think Islamabad, this is the first visit, but I heard about Islamabad before I come. Normally I go to a country where I study what it is. I heard it's a green city, the clear city, and I think the planned city. So I think my perception of Pakistan in reality, because I only had 24 hours before when my last visited, so I have something to take home and say Pakistan is brilliant.
Zsuzsa, what did you expect?
Well, actually, I had the chance a couple of months ago to meet some of, for example, Mr. Amjad, to meet him and some of his colleagues in Seoul in the General Congress of AIPS. I knew and I've heard that people in Pakistan are really warm-hearted, very welcoming people, and actually they are. So I can tell by experience by this time. And I know what has been happening in Pakistan lately. I know that this country, unfortunately, has been suffering, from the threats of terrorism. And but it's so good to see that this is absolutely what I could experience. It's now a new era. So it's a place of peace. I mean, you could go out to the streets, and what I've just seen today, probably the intention of getting international sports back to the country. I think it's a very good step to open up to the world. So I have a different picture of Pakistan, what people probably have a perception of the country. So I think sport, as we know, is an international language of us all. So I think it's a very, very good intention to do that.
Right, and you both come from fabulous countries. I've had the pleasure, I've been to Colombo and it's absolutely beautiful. Your food is your food is terrific. I haven't had the opportunity to go to Budapest, but I've heard it's absolutely lovely and I'd love to go.
Yeah.
Mohi Shah Sahab, this meant a lot to you. You won an award, you deserved it. You've been following cricket sports in Pakistan for many, many years, and it must have been really heartening to hear the information minister and of course various others speaking about the importance of sports, bringing sports to the fore, because of course while we love cricket and we'll always love cricket, the information minister continuously talked about reviving other sports that have been neglected in the past. So that must have been wonderful for you to hear.
Ali, frankly speaking, finding so many sport journalists between us is a very, very welcoming sign for Pakistan. The thing is, Ali, whenever we go abroad to cover international events like Olympics, like Asian Games, so there we used to, and in past we have met these journalists, and watching them, doing their job, watching them performing their professional duties, and suddenly finding them in Islamabad without, we are not the host of any international event, but we are host of a Congress, AIPS Congress Asian chapter, and finding these all professionals among us. And I'm pretty excited, and I've seen these people, the way they work, the way they pursue their professional career is something fabulous. And secondly, you talk about yesterday's event when Minister of State for Information, Mariam Aurangzeb, was there. I think she knows pretty well the importance of sports in this country, the importance of sport journalism, and the way she spoke yesterday, I was very impressed. The fact of the matter is that she knows more about sports than what I thought previously, believe you me. And she is a sports follower, and not only sports follower, but she knows every leading sports journalist in Pakistan. And as he said yesterday, that she has been reading all these articles, she has been following the legends like Csisztu Zsuzsa and which she said is the household name.
She said some very important things, but I think the best thing that she said was when she talked about schools, targeting schools, building modern sports infrastructure in schools around the country.
Absolutely.
That's absolutely crucial.
She mentioned about government plans of having playing facilities in all major schools in Islamabad.
Facilities,
and they are going to expand these facilities to other cities also. But I was more impressed the way she discussed about the importance of sports for kids. for children. And she mentioned about her own child who is
That was
around
fantastic.
five.
Really, I
And she
mean-
said that I took him to doctor and he advised me to take him to the playground.
Exactly.
And that's where, I think now when those people who are policymakers, when they start learning about the importance of sport, I think there is no better way to spread sports and to spread the message of sports in the society and around our, whosoever is serious enough to take the sports.
Yeah.
And the kids, I think taking sports is must for kids. Majority of, and she also mentioned that in heart, everybody is a sportsman. It is about to express themselves. It's about going in the playground, going in the courts, going in the stadiums
Right.
to express their whatever ability they've got.
Yeah, absolutely. Bringing modern sporting facilities to schools. I think it's a fantastic initiative, and it's much needed, and it's wonderful to hear her speak like that. Hisham, let's talk a little bit about you. Why did you decide to get into the sports journalism? I hear that you have your own SriLankaSports.com. It's your own website. It's been there since the year 2000, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about that.
Actually, my passion for sports starts when I was school. I played for my first 11 cricket team. Then I was thinking, I was seeing people of Sri Lankan journalists going around the world and writing about sports. So then I thought myself, okay, one day I should be one of them. So that the aspiration drives me to come to this place. Then 3 of my colleagues got together and they have started this website. No one was thinking about having a website in Sri Lanka back in 2000. People laughed at me, at myself and my others. So then we took a stand. We go for it. And happily, we got all the support from the other guys also. And we launched Sri Lanka's first sports website, SriLankaSports.com. Then I remember my first tour was 1995 to Australia. You heard about Morali Saga, what had really happened.
With Daryl Hare.
Daryl Hare. I was 19 at that time. It was tremendous pressure for me to write that story. Then the help that I got from the senior journalists, I'm quite rightly said, senior journalists drives us because you need to have your gurus back with you to get good journalists coming out from the society. So I thought this is an opportunity, and especially you meet a lot of friends. So how many friends we met these 2 days? Especially from the Pakistan, I think we got 40 odd people coming here with the Pakistan journalists and also outside world. So that created an opportunity for me to go to the other world and understand their culture, maybe other sports. So I started with cricket, but I cover mostly all sports. I'm a TV presenter also, so then it gave me an advantage to talk about and present about sports. So you need to know about sports. Writing and presenting is 2 different things.
Absolutely.
As you have a tremendous thing to do, because you have to prepare here. You just can't come and come on camera, say bull, but you have to be prepared. So it drives me here. So I'm happy where I am today.
No, that sounds absolutely wonderful, and I'd just like to say that Pakistanis, especially cricket lovers, we love Sri Lanka. We love the Sri Lankan cricket team. As you said, you won in 1996. I mean, I'll never forget Aravinda De Silva's 100, Arjuna Ranatunga, the captain of Sri Lanka, and you've produced so many great cricketers after that. And before that, by the way, you had a great batsman called Mendes
Actually,
as well.
to add to you, the support that we got from Pakistan spectators on that particular day, it was tremendous. It was like we didn't feel that we are not our country. We felt that we are playing these finals in Colombo. It was tremendous. I think most of the Pakistanis got Sri Lankan flags with them.
Yeah.
So it's absolutely marvelous to have. As Susie said, sports unite people.
Yeah, Zsuzsa, what's your story? I mean, you're a former Olympian, and like I already said, you've specialized in sports law.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about yourself and why you decided to get into this.
Well, basically my story starts at the age of 5 when I decided to do gymnastics. And speaking of which, of sport journalism, it was funny because I was hesitating becoming a ballerina, on a stage, doing ballet or doing gymnastics. But I was a very little girl when I saw Nadia Comaneci, world famous Romanian gymnast now living in the United States for many, many years by now, on TV. So basically, that's the strength of sport journalism and media and television. I saw her on TV doing her routines, and she's got all these fantastic routines done, and tan, the perfect tan. And I said, okay, Mom, I want to be a gymnast because I just want to be like her. So I basically started my gymnastics career, which turned out to be quite long and quite successful. I was a member of the Hungarian national team for 10 years, and I made it to the Seoul Olympic Games. I finished in the 8th place. So
That's amazing.
Yeah, thank you. So I was 7th in the World Championships earlier before, and 6th in the Europeans. And thankfully to my gymnastics career, I earned a university scholarship. I was one of the first ones from Hungary, because basically around the times when we were still a socialist country, belonging to the ex-Soviet bloc, so it wasn't so easy. So I made it to the United States, and that's where I started studying international communications and broadcasting. And when I came back from the States in 1992, I got a chance to be a co-commentator at the Barcelona Olympic Games, first time in my life. Because I was still an active gymnast, but I couldn't make it back home to the Olympics because of my exams. So it was the very first time, and luckily enough, I had a chance to commentate on an Olympic gold medal of my teammate from Hungary, a very first time in my life in gymnastics. So this was something, it was outrageously fantastic feeling. And I said, okay, this is something that I would like to do. So ever since 1992, I've been involved with sport journalism. I started as a commentator in gymnastics, obviously, because of my background, and I picked up with some of the other artistic sports like figure skating, winter sports, ice dancing, rhythmic gymnastics, obviously diving, synchronized swimming. So I've been actually at 8 Olympic Games by now, out of which I was competing in Seoul, one, and the rest, 7 of them was Winter and Summer Olympics, and a lot of major international events. And in the meantime, while doing journalism on television, not just a commentator, I'm also an anchor and sports reporter, editor, whatsoever. So I'm also doing a lot of things in the same time. I was doing my graduate studies and postgraduate studies as a lawyer, and also besides that, I specialized in sports law, which is a very special area of law. And I think it's, I really had the desire to learn as many aspects of sport as possible. So basically to see it from all kinds of sides. I also have a sport managing diploma from the University of Physical Education in Hungary. I said, sport is basically one of the biggest entertainment business of the world now, I should say. So you really have so many aspects. It's good that you can watch it not just from an athlete point of view. You can basically observe it from a manager point of view. You can observe it from a sports reporter point of view, but also someone who knows law. Sometimes I had interviews with athletes getting into trouble, making bad decision whatsoever, and I think it's also important to have someone on their side. So a lot of aspects of sport, but after all, we all sports lovers.
Talk about tunnel vision. 5 years old, and I mean, you got involved in so many things, but it was focused on sport.
Absolutely. Everything is around sport.
Yeah, fascinating stuff. Mohi Shah sahab, what about you? What's your story?
So now, I'm a veteran of 28 years, 29 years I've spent in sport journalism. And believe you me, the moment I have done my MA English Literature, almost 29, 30 years back, and I was also a club cricketer, but there and then I, felt that I have to stay in this sports business only. And at that time, opportunities were very scarce for even whatsoever I was doing at the club. Even at that time, if I was good with bat or with leather, but it was not easy at that time to go into the mainstream of cricketers at that time. So I decided to go into sport journalism, and at that time, I was, I got appointment letter in bank, and I was appointed at grade 2 officer there. Right. But I preferred going into sport journalism, and at that time in Pakistan, sport journalism was totally new. And there were very, very few people, very, very few sports writers and sport journalists at that time. I'm talking about 86, 87, 1986, 87. But I decided to go into sport journalism, follow this profession, and from there on, I have covered so many. I have covered 92 Olympics in Barcelona, 96 Olympics in Atlanta, 2000 in Sydney. I missed 2004, and I went to Beijing in 2008, 2012 in London, and so many cricketing events, cricketing series, World Cups, and the T20 World Cups, and Hockey World Cup in 1994. I was there in Sydney when Pakistan lifted the World Cup hockey, and I was with the Pakistan team at that time.
It was a fantastic year for Pakistan, 1994.
Experience there was fabulous. Pakistan. It was Pakistan against Holland in the final, and the stadium, Olympic stadium. It was in a rebuilding process, but hockey stadium was completely, ready for international games. Right. Olympic stadium has got the capacity of 35,000 people. It was jam-packed. I'm talking about hockey stadium, and I interviewed so many Australians at that time. Why you are here? Your team is not here in the final, and why you are here watching this final between two other countries? And majority of people at that time told me that they are here to see Pakistan hockey skills. And Pakistan hockey skills and the stick work of majority of Pakistan hockey players at that time was so eye-catching that every hockey lover wanted to see them in action. And majority of Australians were there because of the Pakistan team's hockey skills and the way they were playing, the way they were carrying the ball and dodging the other players and going rushing into their opponent defense. It was fabulous to see, and majority of that was of the view that they are there for Pakistan, there to watch good hockey. And it hardly matters that Australia is there or no.
Stunning career, Mohi Shah sahab. No, it's been fascinating to hear how you all got into this. And the common thing is that all of you have had tunnel vision. You stayed the course, and now you're very successful, and that's actually very, very inspiring. Hisham, you and I were talking off air. You said something very important. This is why the Congress conference is so important, this initiative. You said that it's very difficult to get young people involved, particularly girls. Can you expound on that and what you think we can do to get them more involved in the sports journalism? How can we encourage them?
If you really, in sports, generally they do sports during their school career. Yeah. So when they grow up, so they might choose something else. As I agree with Ali that he changed the profession from actually I'm a banker by profession and a marketer, but my more passion into sports. That's why I'm here. So it's all the passion. The problem is you need to have the passion to start something. So I think the lacking is the passion. So you have everything with you. I mean, you have to find out how you pursue it. The thing, what I feel is, especially for the young girls to come into the field, because they feel that this is not the area to be with. To be honest, in Sri Lanka, you can count the number of females involved in sports writing, reporting. So I remember one lady called Ganesha. She was the first sports lady writer in cricket. She's running a website in Sri Lanka quite well now. She was with us earlier. Now she's running something else. So I think we have to have some programs, definitely. AIPS Asia doing a lot of programs, especially for young reporters. So we get people who little bit of lacking of passion. If you come to the field, sometimes you might feel, okay, where I was. Or maybe, okay, I have done the wrong decision. This is my correct field. So as Susie said, she was something else. Now she's something else now. So like you need to get into that. Then you might create that passion with you.
Zsuzsa, what are your thoughts? What are the biggest challenges if young people want to get involved in sports journalism, commentating, whatever it is? What do you think? What are the biggest challenges that
Actually,
they
a lot of
face?
challenges that I had, just witnessed lately. I was the very first female sports reporter on television in Hungary 25 years ago. So basically, it wasn't an easy way to go because I had to face all the preconceptions, the stereotypes from my male colleagues. Sorry, but it wasn't like that.
I believe you must have been
And
terrible.
also from the viewers, because it was something that they were not used to. They were not accustomed to that there is a lady talking about sports and she could have the knowledge and she could be proper and she could be entertaining and whatsoever. But with my Olympic background, obviously it was a good base, so I had my credibility, which was very important at the beginning. But it was also obvious that I had to find the how long I can stretch out, basically. So for example, football, soccer, is a huge.
It's the biggest sport.
The biggest sport,
in Hungary,
absolutely, in Hungary, and also I would say in Europe.
Of course.
So in that sense, obviously, this is a male's world. So you don't really want to step into, but
Not anymore, I think.
no, not anymore. And this is something that has been changing, and this is good. But it's still not easy. You can see more women now on the side of the field doing interviews. I'm also anchoring shows when we are talking about Champions League or some other sports like, for example, Bundesliga. The German championships we used to have, or Italian championships. But I'm sitting in the studio and talking about it, but I don't want to look like an expert of football because I am not. That should
Right.
be left to man. However, still I can tell that it's not easy, as you say, to get women involved because of some of the still existing preconceptions. Maybe they don't have the courage to do that. But at the same time, I think it's getting a little more.
To add the cultural barriers also there. The family will not allow women or the ladies to go out and spend a lot of time.
That's
out.
true. It's even true here.
That is the problem, because you have to break that barrier, because
Absolutely.
then you can get more women coming out because they got the knowledge.
Yeah,
as you said,
absolutely. I do believe, and there is a room for us. I mean, there are a lot of things that I think we can be very good at. For example, I love feature stories. I really love to make interviews, long interviews with athletes, when you can really have the time to talk about their backgrounds, their problems, and the difficulties, the drawbacks. So I think we are very emotional, and I think sport is about emotions. So obviously those things can match up really well. It was funny, and let me share that idea with you that this spring, Hungarian Sport Journalists Association, we're talking about sport journalism, had a chance to organize a European summit. It was basically the same kind of event, but you just had
like a
had
congress
here.
here.
Yeah. So we had approximately 78, 80 journalists coming from 37 countries. And we had a lot of very interesting presentation, and I was asked to do a presentation about women in international sport journalism.
Right.
And when I was preparing for this presentation, I tell you, I could barely find material on the internet because there is no past. There is no, basically no history.
There's nothing, yeah.
So what happened, basically, obviously, in the English-speaking countries like United States or England, it was a little bit more easy to find something. They have some university studies. They had, comparative studies whatsoever. But still, it just showed to me how difficult this problem is. And now I can tell you, it's percentage-wise, it seems like about 8 to 9% out of 100, how much women would be involved in sport journalism internationally.
Just out of curiosity, as you said, you stepped into a male-dominated field, which it was and continues to be, let's face it. Of course, improvements have been made.
Yeah.
But when did you feel like you belonged in this industry, in this field?
Well, I think I really had to work very hard to have the knowledge and to be credible enough. I had to earn the knowledge. So when it turned out, okay, this woman have the information. She knows what she's talking about. So she's okay in the field. I mean, she knows gymnastics. When I was getting into more about the topics deeply, then it turned out, okay, that she's the one who knows what she's talking about. Besides that, I think the sporting field, the still active athletes and the coaches had a very good relation to me, because I was always very sympathetic to them. I was always very, I had very strong feelings for their performance. I didn't want to harm them about their performances if there was something, going wrong. So basically, I would say it took about two Olympics to be accepted. So it's about 4 to 5 years when I started to feel that I'm not out of business, or I'm accepted, and they would think that I'm one of them. Lately, in the last couple of years, that I've been involved with the leadership of the Hungarian Sport Journalistic Association, I think it's even a little bit better now.
Right, but like Pakistan, I mean, Hungary is obsessed with sports. So I guess the silver lining is that, yes, of course, being a woman, it's always difficult coming into that field. But there's so much to choose from. I mean, Hungarians love soccer. I mean, you're brilliant at athletics, badminton, I'm sure, swimming, all sorts of sports. So that must have made it a little bit easier.
Absolutely. I mean, Hungary has a huge tradition in sport, especially in Olympic sports. So we were one of the founders of the IOC, International Olympic Committee, in 1896. We have been always there. We are basically a country with such a huge number of Olympic medals compared to the size of a nation, that we are actually in the 8th position compared to the size of a nation. So basically, all the Olympic sports, especially swimming, gymnastics, athletics, tennis, kayak and canoeing, which is very, very popular in Hungary, water polo, obviously. So those are the very famous Hungarian sports. Modern pentathlon, for example, and obviously soccer. Soccer used to be a very, very successful field of Hungary.
Just to pick up on this, Mohi Shah sab, I mean, it's so important to encourage the youth to get involved in sports in any shape or form, whether it's playing, commentating, writing, because it's so much easier now for young people to fall into bad habits, and there's so many distractions there as well. With your iPads, your phones, and your boxes and your PlayStations. So I mean, it's very important that we encourage young people to get involved, that we create a space for them to get involved.
Ali, basically, I think sports build society. If a youngster goes into sports, if kid adopts sports right from the start, there are good chances that they would go on to make a good human being, and that is more important, I think. Everyone can't go into professional sports. Every child, every student cannot go on to become international athlete. But what he learns from sports, I think that is tremendous. His personality improves. Personality of that which he gets after getting into sports, impacts society, and society thus establish itself, and it becomes more aware of goods and bads in and around him, and that is, I think, very important. And here in Pakistan, I think recently we are trying to, and the government and all affiliated units whosoever working for the promotion of sports, they have realized this, and we are possibly struggling, and we are possibly making more efforts, though it is pretty early stage for departments and other sports promotion departments in Pakistan, but we are trying in Pakistan. These departments and these like Sports Board, Pakistan Olympic Association, they are trying to get on with the organization of sports, in a big way. So now when I think the law and order situation in Pakistan has improved tremendously, I think we are in a position to stage more international events, to invite more teams, whether it is in Olympic sports or cricket or any other sports. And I think the day is not far when we see a sports culture, restart of sports culture in Pakistan.
No, I mean, we constantly talk about promoting Pakistan's soft image, and recently that's exactly what's been happening. I mentioned the World 11 coming and playing in Lahore,
True.
and then the British members of the British press, British journalists playing in North Waziristan, and it was all over the media. That was absolutely fantastic, because after the 2009 incident with the Sri Lankan cricket team in Lahore, things went downhill, but they've gone back up, and we have to credit many people for that. Many the Pakistanis who were involved, the ICC of course played a role, but Sri Lanka, we should also really thank Sri Lanka, because the way your cricketers and your officials handle after the attack, they handled it with so much grace and dignity, almost as if they understood what Pakistan was going through, because you two have been through, your country's been through a brutal civil war, and now Sri Lanka, of all the teams, they've taken the initiative to come to Pakistan and play a one-off T20 in Lahore. So I mean, we should thank a lot of people, a lot of players, but we should really thank the Sri Lankans as well.
To add what you said, Ali, if you recall way back, when Sri Lanka had this problem, when most of the foreign teams didn't come to play the World Cup in '96, I remember
West Indies refused coming there. Australia refused coming.
Yeah, refused to come. And I saw a combined team from, they came. So we have to have the gratitude back to give. I think, as you said, I prefer the third T20 will be here. So it will be a tremendous improvement to come back. So we should, because as you said, Pakistan and Sri Lanka, with cricketing concern, we have a good relationship. So we're happy to be back and help Pakistan to be, as you said, we have been 30 years of war, and we know what the terrorism is, and we're happy to be beaten them. I think Pakistan also get rid of the terrorism now. I don't want to use that terrorism word anymore. We want to hear it, because it's not in our vocabulary now. We forgot. We forgot about it.
Right.
And we go on sports, and we build countries together with harmony, peace, and everything.
Absolutely, yes. Just back to Hungary a little bit. As I already said, as we already talked about, Hungary is very passionate about sports, and we talked about the importance of promoting it, especially for the young people, so they stay away from bad habits, because like I said, it's a lot easier to fall into bad habits.
Absolutely.
So many things, so many substances are so accessible now, but you as a professional athlete, you can understand the kind of high that you get, not through training and also through achievement. There's no high like that, and that's what I think, I'm sure, whenever you've spoken to young people, that's exactly what you've told them.
Yeah, I mean, a child is born, I think, with a natural love of movement and sport. So, first of all, I have two sons, 4 years old and 10 years old. So basically, for me, I can see that they're so energetic. They love what they're doing. First of all, it's very important, to give them the chance to find something, some sort of a sport that they would really like to get involved with. So I think we have to nourish that sort of a love of movement, what they have naturally. We have to give the chance. And for that, we have to have, obviously, infrastructures, facilities. You have to have sporting, fields, stadiums, whatsoever, where they can practice, obviously. So, there are a lot of distraction that can make life very hard, not just for the little one, but for the parents as well. Yeah. But at the same time, I think just to balance that out, you definitely have to give the chance for the child and for the children to do sports. And on the other thing, a lot of things that you can learn from sport. It really builds character.
Absolutely.
With all the the diligence and all the hard work and dedication you have to put into sports, that pays off in real life later on. I can really feel that. And you also learn when you're in sports not just to to win with pride, but to lose with dignity.
Lose with dignity.
So this is definitely something that I think only really the sport can teach you. Let me tell that this is really lucky now that in Hungary, the Hungarian government is trying to create an environment that is really supporting sport. So there's a lot of infrastructure, supported. A lot of stadium has been built. We just built for this 17th FINA World Championships. We were the host of the FINA, swimming, water polo, whatever, World Championships in this summer in Budapest. And we had the chance to build probably, I would say, the world's most modern swimming pool at this very moment. It was fantastic. We had 12,000 people sitting in the stadium watching the best swimmers of the world, and talking about basically promotion, soft promotion of a nation.
That's why you have such a rich history of swimming.
Yes.
And
So
to be
I-
honest, yes,
Yes, I can tell that a lot of people, journalist colleagues, whoever were just coming with the athletes, and the athletes themselves, they said, okay, this is the place where we would like to come back and to see even without a sporting event. So that's why I think it's so important for Pakistan to open up with international sporting events, because when people can come and have, this mutual, feelings, enjoying sports together. This is such a common feeling that they would like to have it again. So they would like to.
I heard what your minister spoke on the other day about her child. A doctor has advised her to put him to sport. It just gives you a message.
It was such a strong
in Sri Lanka
message.
also, because schools is the most important thing to get people involved in sport. As in Sri Lanka also, we have a beautiful project coming out to identify the talent with their physical build. Sometimes you go to a sport where you don't belong into. So maybe you like to play basketball, but your skills with athletics. So we have a system of identifying people or other children
very important.
at the young
That is very
age
important.
to give them, okay, you try these two sports, maybe not one, because then you make yourself comfortable to be in that sport. Sometimes you drive it because of your mother says you go and play cricket, you go and play soccer, but it's not the passion. Sometimes you'd like to be an athlete. So then it's good to have understand the minds of the young people, and as Hungary doing, Sri Lanka also have a pretty good program coming up, so that gives younger people to more encouraged into sports. As you said, this technology killed everything. Because we also bound to have it on every time you see this we're doing this, but you don't. It's good to have something.
Yeah, but as Zsuzsa said, it brings so many. I mean, it brings so many different things to the fore. But I think you hit the nail on the head when you said it develops a person's character. You learn how to win with pride, and when you lose with dignity.
Right.
And the teamwork.
We only have 2 minutes left. Zsuzsa, you'll have to bear with us. You might even learn a little bit. No, Hungary is not big on cricket, but I'm sure you'll be fascinated to hear that Pakistan are playing Sri Lanka. It's the second Test match. You guys won the first one in Abu Dhabi, and I'd like to congratulate you on that. Because you had been going through a pretty rough patch. I mean, you lost to the Indians badly, and then before that you didn't do well against Zimbabwe either. So I think you needed this.
Yeah, we have a structure in place. We got Kumasanga Kara, Mahali Jayawardhan and Aravind Silva, and we have a special committee approved by the minister to see what we could do to revamp the Sri Lanka cricket. I think as Pakistan also having a tough time building up their cricket, so it's good to have something together. We lost to Pakistan, and we won against Pakistan. So we hope the second test would be another tremendous end at the end.
Well, you guys aren't doing too badly right now. You're 433 for 6, and you've got some.
And we create history. The first pink ball match, and it's good to see both countries playing together. It's good. But
Yeah,
you can see, you hardly see spectators.
No, I mean Pakistan and.
No, that's why we are advocating that teams should come in Pakistan.
definitely.
Play here, because here you would find jam-packed
God.
stadiums.
Oh my God, you will be packed with Pakistan.
Jam-packed stadiums, and we'd love to have Sri Lankan supporters coming, because, as I said, I remember when I went to Sri Lanka, they loved
And
Pakistani cricketers.
And I think for an athlete, it really makes a difference if you have, spectators and
It
fans.
may give you more courage
on
to
that.
play.
Yeah, yeah.
Absolutely. Well, this was a fascinating discussion. Dr. Zsuzsa, Hishan Welmilla, Mr. Mohi Shah, thank you very much for coming
Thank
on.
you for
I wish you all the
inviting
best and
us.
thank you again.
Thank you very
Thank you for
much.
coming to Pakistan.
Thank
And
you.
please
Thank you.
come back again.
Okay.
Definitely we are.
Happily.
Thank you.
That's all we have time for. Keep watching Sports Extra on PTV World. See you next time. Bye-bye.